This is Lead Her Forward, ESPN Madison celebration of National Women and Girls in Sports Day. I'm Molly Brown alongside Casey O'Brien, junior forward on the Wisconsin women's hockey team. That's exciting. And Laila Edwards, who is also on the women's hockey team. And you are a freshman. Holy cow, you're young. You're both very young, which is crazy. You make me feel ancient, like I told you before. But kind of just give us a little bit of background into, neither one of you are from Wisconsin, which is crazy to me. How did you guys both choose Wisconsin? Where did you come from? Give us all the details. Casey, how about you first?
So I was born in New York City. Both my brothers played hockey, and my dad was a house league coach, and so I basically wanted to do everything that my brothers did, and that's how I got into hockey. But my family ended up moving to the Boston area, and so that's where I grew up. And as Boston kids know, it's likely that you stay in the area for college. But the first time that I visited Madison, I told my dad right on the spot, this is where I want to go. There was no coaching staff, no fans, no teammates like the ones that I met here. And from that instant, I knew this is where I was going to come to college.
So cool. How about you, Laila?
Yeah, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and my dad played. He was pretty good, so he kind of made my siblings and I play, but now I'm not mad at him for it anymore. I started figure skating, and then I transferred over to hockey, which I think was the right decision.
Interesting.
I know it was the right decision. Yeah. When I first visited Madison, I felt the exact same way. I came for a hockey camp, and I was like, I don't see another campus trumping this one, or the coaching staff. And then I knew the academics were good. And then the history of the team and their success was also just another bonus.
Awesome. And you also have a sister, Shyla, who is also on the team. She's a senior, right?
Yes.
Did that motivate your decision to come here at all?
Yes, it had a little to do with it, but not as much as everyone thinks.
Oh, really?
I just think we had similar goals and aspirations, and thought that this was the best place to achieve those.
Oh, cool. For hockey, I'm not super well versed in hockey. I won't try to pretend like I am, but how different is the state of Wisconsin for hockey? Are people, I know you mentioned the fans, that they're diehard, but how diehard are they compared to other places in the country? When you guys go travel for away games, what is it like in those environments versus being in Wisconsin?
So, when I say that we have the best fans in women's college hockey, we, hands down have the best fans. We have, I'd say our demographic is older people. We're not getting as many students as we'd want to the games, but it's mostly the same people at every single game. And for example, in 2020, my freshman year was the COVID year, so we couldn't have any fans. Anywhere we traveled that could have fans, we had more fans than the home team did. So we had I'll shout out Bill and Lisa, this couple who have come to every single one of our games. They always stay after to talk to us. They not only care about the hockey, but they care about us as people. And I don't think any other women's college hockey team is getting the kind of love like we do.
Okay, very cool. How about you? What do you think about just the difference in women's hockey specifically in the state of Wisconsin compared to other places? Even in Cleveland, I mean, that's a cold weather state. Yeah. Was hockey a big deal there at all, or coming here it just was something different?
Yeah, hockey, it's fairly big in Cleveland, but mostly just men's. So I played boys hockey until I decided to go to a prep school in Rochester, New York, called Bishop Kearney. And I would have stayed in Cleveland if they had options, but there's hardly any options for women's hockey. And once you get older, you can't keep playing with the boys. It just doesn't work like that.
Crazy.
And then coming here, just in comparison to everywhere else, the fan base is also another reason why I was Madison's the place, because it's just so fun to play in front of a huge crowd. And then, like Casey said, sometimes we've traveled and had more of our own fans than the team's fans that we were at. So it was pretty cool.
Interesting. Did you kind of face those same adversities or challenges too with different teams, or did they have women's teams in Massachusetts for you to be able to kind of grow up playing in?
Yeah, I think Massachusetts is probably one of the biggest hotspots for women's hockey. At least at the youth level, there's plenty of teams, plenty of competition. But I remember growing up and going to games at different Beanpot schools, and there just wasn't a lot of love for the hockey teams there, not a lot of fans. And then you go to a game out here and it's sold out. Like, so many people care about the players, about the team, and it's not really comparable. I think even though the youth hockeys might be better out east, like, there's nothing that compares to UW-Madison.
Do you guys feel like, I know you say how great UW is, right? But like, do you feel that there is some disparities between like the men's and women's sports, or like do you feel like people don't treat your sport as seriously because you're women, or have you never really felt any negative feelings about like stuff like that?
I think when it comes to attention, we definitely do feel that there is a disparity. Obviously, like football, men's basketball, men's hockey, they do get a lot of love. But us and women's volleyball specifically, we've had plenty of successful seasons, especially within the last 5 years or so. And we do feel that we don't get the same amount of love. We pretty much sell out our arena every single game. But we still feel like we don't get the attention that the men's sports do.
How about you, Laila?
Yeah, I totally agree. Everything Casey said was right on point. I've noticed, like, not to discredit any other sport, but I've noticed we've been more successful than others that get more attention.
Yeah.
It's been hard to understand and, like, process because it just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Like, typically you want to see, like, your team succeed, especially people who are, like, diehard Madison fans. But then, you know, give attention to the people who are winning. Right.
And I know that you mentioned, like, just the whole idea of you were on men's teams until you literally couldn't be anymore, which is crazy to me that that's still a thing. And like I said, you're 19 years old. Crazy.
Right.
But, like, hockey does tend to be thought of as a male-dominated sport. Like, do you think that women like you guys or even your teammates are kind of, like, shifting this narrative with how successful your guys' team has been? I mean, Wisconsin's program is a fantastic program for women's hockey. Do you feel like you guys are kind of a part of a change and like towards the future? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we definitely are. Growing up, even like playing with the boys, like all my teammates would, you know, mention how like girls hockey is kind of a joke. But I think now when we get to, you know, interact with our fans, I think the coolest thing for me is being able to see young boys coming up to us and saying they want to be like us, because, you know, you always get the young girls who have us to look up to, but it's really cool to see that gender gap closing. And I think that with the pro league, it's starting to increase its salary cap and everything. I think everybody's starting to pay a little bit more attention, and I'm glad that we can be a part of that change.
For sure.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing when it was our first home game of the year. Like, a little boy came up to me and asked for my signature, and it took me a second. I was like a little surprised. I never expected to see that, especially because my teammates as well would say, you know, women's hockey's a joke. It's nothing like men's hockey. But to be able to, I think, shape a different perspective for young men, too. Definitely for young women. But to see, like, young men coming is just awesome.
I love that. What do you think some of the biggest challenges of being a female in hockey have been? Like, throughout your life, whether it's your collegiate career, growing up in your youth leagues, anything?
I think there's just not that many, like, really good female hockey players. And I just think, like, for guys, you know, it's really common that they leave high school and go play for, like, the USHL or the BCHL, one of the juniors leagues. But we don't really have that because there's not that many players. So we have the pipeline straight from high school to college, where I think if we could grow the game more and get a lot more players, there'd be a lot more attention, just because with the leagues, more opportunities to go pro and get more development in different leagues.
Yeah, I think if things keep going the way they have been going on the right path for women's hockey, I think more girls will feel more comfortable joining the sport. I think it's probably a little intimidating because they may hear, like, their peers talk about how it's mostly for men. So there's fear in starting a sport that is predominantly male.
Yeah.
But I think once they see it grow more and, you know, more rewarding for a successful woman, then they'll feel more motivated to join.
For sure. And I'm curious, too, with all of, like, the changes with the NIL stuff, how have you guys seen, like, an effect on your team specifically? Not necessarily, like, for just you two, but, like, any of your teammates, have you noticed that, like, oh, there's people getting NIL deals in women's hockey, like, or has your team really not been touched by that at all? Or, because, I mean, it's like we look at the football team and look at how many NIL deals are right there. Like, they are making hand over fist money. So I'm just curious, what does that look like for women's sports at UW right now?
I think when NIL first became a thing, our team didn't do much to, like, speak up for ourselves or reach out to any companies trying to get a deal, just because we figured those teams like men's basketball, football, men's hockey would be the ones getting those deals. But I actually this past summer had an internship with a sports marketing company where my whole role was just to reach out to companies around Wisconsin and see if they wanted to do an NIL deal with somebody. And it happened that we got one for the women's hockey team for 10 players with Quick Trip. And so just to see that they initiated that deal and they wanted to do that with women's hockey players was, I think, eye-opening for a lot of people, because we didn't think that, people cared enough to want, us to be part of their brand. And so I think hopefully that our team, that kind of opened a lot of eyes, and we'll be able for other companies and for us to reach out and try to make something more for NIL deals.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's been great. I think myself and a couple other teammates have had NIL deals, which are a great step into putting more light on women's hockey, and it shows that they care for us, to progress in our sport, because the more attention, then the more, maybe the more people that join, the more revenue we get.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great thing that the NIL has been, what has it been, 2 years or a year? I think. Yeah. So it's a great step into bettering the women's sports.
Awesome. And then also your coach has obviously been super successful at UW. 6 national championships, I believe, that he's won here. That's crazy. How do you think that he's been kind of a leader and mentor to all of you guys, / how has he been able to empower you guys as women? Does he kind of make you feel like, hey, we are awesome women that are strong and we do this crazy sport that people don't think that we're capable of doing? How does he empower you in your sport, in your life, all of it?
I think a lot of coaches love to take credit for team success, love to be really involved, really aggressive, but Coach Johnson is the absolute opposite. He likes to sit back and he puts a lot of trust in us, and lets us kind of do our thing until he feels the need to step in and help us. And I think that helps us all get a little creative on and off the ice. And so I think it's powerful to be able to play with a coach who's a legend and he puts so much trust in his players. It really means something to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And just to see someone who's been so successful in the sport, and to be coached by him, it's definitely an honor. And I think the way his coaching style instills confidence in us, like Casey said, he lets us, do our thing, play freely. I think is a great way to play your best style of game.
What is some advice that you guys would give to other women in sports, whether it's they want to pursue a career in sports or an athletic career? What's some of your best advice that you would offer to somebody?
Well, we grew up not having the dream of being a professional hockey player, not being in it for the money. So, the only reason that we've played is because we love the game and we're having so much fun with it. And I think it's a little bit different for guys who have dreams of playing pro or for whatever, deals. But they have money at the end of the road, and we grew up without that. And so I think with the growing women's league, and now, there's bigger money in play and people can have dreams of growing up to play pro for a few years after college. I just think young girls growing up should only play for the love of the game, and I think it's an amazing opportunity, and I just hope that everyone's growing up with that goal in mind because they love the game so much and are having so much fun with it.
Yeah, I would just say keep fighting through the adversity, keep doing what you're doing. I think it'll be worth it just based on the rate of success that there's been lately. Like Casey mentioned earlier, the salaries are going up and a little more attention been drawn to it. So I do think in the end it'll be worth it, and just, yes, play because you love it, but it'll be nice to play because you love it and want to make money doing it.
Right. all together, right?
Right.
Well, Casey and Laila, thank you both so much for joining me. Just so excited to see what all you guys do at UW and beyond. So love seeing women in sports, and specifically women's hockey. I think is so awesome. Like I said, I don't know a ton about it, but I love it. I want to learn more. I want to watch you guys, everything. This is Lead Her Forward, ESPN Madison celebration of National Women and Girls in Sports Day, and that continues after this.